Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to Sword of Convallaria. Today we're going to be talking about Weapon Trial 2. Can be kind of a tricky dungeon, but like with the others, once you understand what to look out for and how to manage some of the interesting parts of the battle, it's really not so bad. So we're going to jump in here and talk about how we're going to do it. I wanted to try lightning in here, so we're gonna try to do something that I've speculated I think is going to be good in the guide. I did use Flare. I liked Flare for the fight. I thought Flare was pretty fun, pretty decent damage with some passive healing around. I've got a whole video on Flare and why I think Flare is really good, but I want to try something new for the guide. I think that'll be kind of fun. So some stuff to be aware of in this fight. One, obviously no ranged attacks. Do not try to hit this boss with ranged attacks. It is not worth the hassle. You will not do enough damage for it to be worth the hassle. It'll make your life much harder in here. So strong melee hitters, you are going to need a good tank to stay back and take the big hits. You want to be mindful that this dungeon in particular is heavy on physical damage. So when you're setting your tank up for success, you want to be giving them things that are going to mitigate physical damage. That's going to make your life, again, much easier. Also something to be mindful of with your healer. And then knights are really good for this fight. That's part of why I wanted to try lightning in here. I think lightning has a pretty cool kit, and I wanted to display a knight in here. So the reason is because knights have the passive where they take less damage. It's like 30% less damage if they're taking damage from the front, and you're going to be putting your melee damage dealers just right up in the boss's face, and they're going to sit there the whole time pretty much. So it's a really easy way to mitigate the damage and help keep your team alive. Help relieve the pressure on your healer a little bit throughout the fight. So we'll talk about who I'm doing it with, and then again, Might and Tempest I think are other really good options for damage in here. Everybody should have Rawaya. You get copies of her from Voyage Memento, and Papal Guard, again a rare. This can be any good tank. Mytha can do it. Any solid tank can do it. I'm just doing it with him to kind of make a point. He's also really good for it. He's got a very simple kit, but he's really good for it. He gives himself a lot of shield, which physical damage is needed to get through shields, so it makes him that much tankier, that much easier to keep alive. So again, let's jump into the fight, talk about the mechanics, because there's like 3 or 4 things in here that you need to be mindful of. And once you understand them and how to prepare for them, it's really not so bad. This is really not that bad of a fight. It's an interesting one in that it's one of the harder ones to approach, but one of the easier ones once you understand it, I think. So we're going to kick things off with March Command, just so that all our damage dealers can get up into the fight quicker. Because the quicker we can start pumping in damage, the more manageable this fight is. So the first move is going to be our guard, and we're going to put our guard right here behind this ledge. Let's talk about why. Because again, I think it's important for you to understand why we're doing the things that we're doing. Furious Wallop. 340% damage to the farthest enemy within 8 tiles around the character. Knocks them back by 2 tiles, that's important, and inflicts no healing for 2 turns. Damage is decreased by 10% for each 1 tile between the character and the target, up to 50%, all right? So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Technically, this would mitigate the most damage, right? That's 5 tiles between us and the boss. That's 50% less damage. However, if we get knocked back 2 tiles from here, we get dropped down here. And we don't have a lot of movement with this character. So it's going to be a little bit harder to get him back up here into position. And if he's out of position when he takes a hit, that's going to be really bad. All right, we need him to be in position, because if he gets hit here, he's going to get knocked down here. He's going to take extra damage. It's going to really be a bad day for us. So we want to avoid getting knocked off of this ledge at pretty much all cost. And in this case, the cost is 10% less damage mitigation, right? He can handle it. He'll be fine here. So we're going to put him behind this ledge. That's going to kind of be his resting point up to a certain point in the fight, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But we'll bring him up here, shield him up, and then he can just chill. Gloria, just going to head straight up to the center, do some damage. Rawaya, also, just going to head straight up here, do some damage. We'll do her damage that gives her 2 turns. So 560 and 26. Decent little hit there. Not bad. Lightning. We've got the basic attack that's giving us debuffs, which I think is going to be handy. We're going to go and talk about everybody's kit after the fight, by the way. I just wanted to go ahead and get the fight out of the way. Here, damage to all enemies with attack down and move. And then here, the instant grants the target attack up for 2 turns. When they're from the Union, they also get shield, right? So what we're going to do... Actually, why don't we try this? That could be kind of fun. Get the attack debuff on the boss as well. Do some damage to that rock, and then we'll just hang out here. Now, Angel's going to take this first hit. It's annoying, but it's fine. She can handle it, and it's fine. Now, we are going to use our single target heal on her, our 1 energy heal, because she does have a healing debuff, and we need to cleanse that so that she can be healed moving forward. We don't need her to not be able to be healed for several turns. So we're just going to bring her up into the middle of things, use this heal on her. It's not going to do any good except cleansing the debuff, and then that's going to be that. Round 2, stack another shield. Stand by. Again, pump out damage. We're just in pumping out damage mode right now. It'd be so cool if she'd land a crit, but it is what it is. And then let's go ahead and get this rock out of the way and get lightning up into position. There you go. So we took our hit, barely broke the shield, knocked us back 2 tiles, and we are now, we're still in the fight, right? If we'd got knocked off, things would start getting bad for us. So he's all good to go. I don't even know if I need to bother healing her right now. I think I'm just going to let her stack energy. She's going to get a little passive healing at the end of this turn. I don't know. That was from Flare, so no, she's not. So maybe we're in trouble here. Let's see. No, we're still good. All right. So now this is another key moment in the fight. So before you make a decision, we need to analyze what's going on here. You notice 2 of our champs up here have like this lightning aura on them, right? And it's called Voltage Shock. At the end of the turn, and across from their position, they're going to shoot out a lot of damage. They're going to take a lot of damage and shoot out a lot of damage. And anybody in the way of that is going to have a bad time, all right? So we want to plan what we're going to do before we move with everyone else, because we don't want to take unnecessary damage. So Gloria's not going to move, which means that this whole row and this whole middle row are off limits for everybody else. No one else can be there, all right? Because we also don't need these 2 doubling up damage on each other, because they absolutely can't take it twice. They're going to struggle to take it once, all right? So Gloria's not going to move, so we know this is not safe and this is not safe, which means we can't put our guard here because that's unnecessary damage. So we're going to stagger our guard and put the guard here. So Gloria, again, we said Gloria's not going to move. Now, what are we going to do with lightning? Because again, we said we can't take this damage twice. With lightning, we're just going to stagger lightning back 1, which means that this row and this row are also going to be off limits, which means that Rawaya needs to come down here to be safe from this. Now, this is where an interesting part of this fight can happen, because the boss is also going to do something in a minute that's going to be kind of aggravating. And we don't want to be too far out of position for that either. So we'll talk about that when it gets there, but there's potential for a backtrack here to try a different strategy, and I just want to go ahead and note that before we get there. She's going to go here, and then lightning, like I said, we're just going to stagger once diagonally, and might as well hit this rock, because why not? Now, Angel, again, we don't need Angel taking the hit. These 2 are off limits, and these 2 are off limits, so Angel can just come right here. And I think I am going to go ahead and give Angel a heal. Angel might need a little bit of a heal there. So now everybody's taking a big hit from this cross-shaped thing. Not a good time if we're in the middle of that. Now, again, another key moment of the fight that, if you're not aware of, is really going to be tough to manage. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what's about to happen here. This is what the boss is fixing to do. Smashing Comet. Deals 40% calamity damage to all enemies and detonates all comet debris in a 3x4 area in the target direction. Knocks enemies back by 3 tiles and then summons 2 comet debris. 3 tile knockback, okay? So if we put our guard where we usually put our guard, he's going to get knocked off the map, and we're going to have all the problems that we talked about having earlier. So we're going to have to pull the guard up a little bit closer to prevent that from happening, okay? That's the first thing to know. Guard needs to be 1 step closer than they initially were. Gloria can just do damage, standard stuff. Rawaya can just do damage, standard stuff. Big ol' hit. That's what we like to see. And lightning can just come on up. Let's go ahead and before this is one of the important things. If we look at our turn order right now, lightning's going to go, then the boss is going to go, then angel's going to go. That won't work. So we have to use urgent orders on our angel to make sure angel goes before, because we need the heal before this big attack happens. So we're going to bring lightning up, buff, and we're going to go ahead and actually drop this to try to get the attack debuff on the boss, which actually might help us out a lot. Did it work? It did work. Cool. All right. Yeah. Another reason that lightning's handy there. So we're going to bring angel up in the middle here and do our heal. And now we're going to take this big hit. Everybody's going to get knocked back. It's going to be a mess. Now, this is interesting, right? We can go ahead and bring our guard back up into position. And I might even do it here because we really need to try to get this out of here. I'm going to put the guard staggered one so that we can hit that debris. Gloria, we're just going to do damage. With Rawaya, I think it's really important that we get this debris out of here, and here's why. It's reducing everybody's physical defense by 20%. And then also, if the boss is alive long enough, they're going to detonate it, and we don't want that happening. So we really need to get it out of here. So do I want... She can have her back to the boss because the guard is going to be the next one to take a hit. So I think I'm okay with that. So let's do that. Alternatively, we could have let Rawaya hit the boss and brought lightning up to try to kill it. But I have more faith in Rawaya to kill it than I do lightning. So we're going to just bring lightning back up to do that. He's going to take the hit, get knocked back 2 tiles, but it's fine. We're still able to get back in position. As long as we're up here out of the range of getting knocked back twice, we're fine. So we're going to drop an AoE heal here. And work on getting everybody back into position. Also, while being mindful that we now have another round of this crisscross big heavy damage, right? So we're going to bring our guard up here, shield up, stand by. Gloria is just going to stay where Gloria is. And we're just kind of rinsing and repeating now. Now, she's just going to step down here, I think. I think that's probably reasonable. Lightning, we're going to stagger one. Angel, we're going to stagger one and give... Now, hopefully Gloria survives that. If not, we might have to rewind a little bit and... No, Gloria died. All right, so we have to reevaluate. That's good. I think it'll be helpful to see how this plays out. Was Gloria... Yeah, what do we need to do then? We need to bring... Gloria needs to be in a position to get a heal. So here's what we can do. We can stagger lightning back 2 spaces so that she'll still... But we'll just leave this cross open. Rawaya can stay where she is. Gloria can stay where she is. And then Angel can just step over one and still heal Gloria. This Papal Guard doesn't need the heal just yet. So that's what we'll do. It's good. Little troubleshooting live. So Rawaya then needs to just step over one. Lightning's going to step back here. We're going to step here and give Gloria a heal so that she can take this hit. Perfect. Now we can work on getting everybody back in a position. Well, position for what's about to come, right? The big 3-tile knockback thing that's about to happen. So we need Papal Guard here. Shield up. We'll stand by. Again, being mindful of the turn order here. We're going to want Angel to get a heal. So we're going to want to urgent orders on Lightning's turn. We're going to go ahead and bring her up. Do some damage. We are creeping up on this fight being over. I don't know if Lightning can end it. But before Lightning's turn, urgent orders on Angel so that we can get a good heal off. Bring Lightning up. Might as well drop the debuff. Not a lot of damage, but the debuff might be helpful. And now we're in a position where it doesn't really matter what happens as long as no one dies. All right. So let's AoE heal. Papal Guard should be fine. Physical shield. Pretty decent gear. We're in good shape. And now it's just a matter of killing the boss. The boss does not have a lot of HP left. We'll behave as though it's necessary to behave, though. But this might be it right here. So there you go. It's rinsing and repeating, and again, occasionally adjusting. Sometimes you may need to backtrack, rearrange your stagger so that Gloria or whoever is in your front center line there can get that heal that they need. But you see the things to be mindful of and how to deal with them. All right. Now let's go in and talk about the champs that I used and some of the important things on the champs that we used. All right. Let's start with Gloria. This front defense skill on anybody that has it is excellent for this dungeon. Okay, it is really, really helpful for this dungeon. That damage decrease by 30% makes it so much easier on your healer to maintain the fight. All right, beyond that, nothing in her kit's particularly interesting, and she's still kind of built for some other stuff I was doing with her, so her gear's not even specialized for this. She's fine though. Just get front defense on her, and she's in pretty good shape. All right, Rawaya can just be built like Rawaya. There's nothing really special going on with her here either, right? Just her get her damaging skills, and she seems to be fine. Lightning, front defense. Again, that's why the Knights are so good here, because they all have this somewhere in their skill tree, and it's just so... You saw Lightning was like never really in much danger, right? That 30% damage mitigation is pretty huge. Here we have the basic attack putting defense debuffs on, which is really nice. And then here we have the attack down, which was probably also very nice. A little bit of damage as well. Here we've got the buff that also gives some shield. And then I thought Battle Fever was also pretty handy for her for this fight. You can pretty much put this, decreases damage taken by 10% on everybody in the fight if you're struggling to keep them alive without it. And then the unique coat, physical damage taken decreased by 30%. Also pretty handy. If there's a legendary version of it that you have, excuse me, it'll also be really good. Anything that reduces physical damage taken for this dungeon is great. This was the weapon that I had for her, so this is what she's got. I gave her a little more HP, and when she has a shield, she has more defense. I would opt for something that lets her do more damage, honestly, but it's fine either way. Not really that big of a deal, right? Angel, we talked about in a lot of these videos. My Angel is does not have a lot of special stuff going on. My Inanna has the better healing weapon, so she's just got this. This is literally just because it's a legendary piece. It's not doing her any good. Here we've got the damage reduction, and then she needs to have the when hit by an active target, damage taken is decreased. Can be pretty helpful. And then everything she does is just heals and cleanses, right? That's the whole reason she's there. She does attack ranged, so you don't want to be hitting the boss with her anyway. She's just there to take care of everybody, okay? And then the Papal Guard, again, very straightforward stuff. Decreases damage taken. Damage taken decreases when healthy, which with all the shields and stuff you put on him, he's healthy a lot of the time. You can also heal him a little bit more if you feel like you need to, but I didn't particularly feel like I needed to. Here, it's just a lot of damage mitigation, right? You definitely want him to have heavy armor. Defensive stance. You definitely want him to have defensive stance so that he can continue to stack that shield up. It's incredibly helpful for that dungeon. And then heavy armor is also not a bad idea for him, but his gear's not great. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what weapon you have on him because he's not doing a lot of damage, so whatever's going to give him some good stats. Here, when attacked from the front, physical defense increases by 20%. Pretty handy one to have on him. And that's that. Again, if we go and look at like somebody like Tempest, if we go into their skill tree, where is it? Does Tempest not have front defense? Tempest is a knight, right? There you go. That's a version of it. Knightly Spirit may be the other thing I was thinking of. Knightly Spirit and front defense. It's some combination of those. Does she not have Knightly Spirit? No, maybe it's either or then on them. Man, if you could double those up, that would be insane. Where's another knight? Let's look at might. What's might got here? Yeah, there's Knightly Spirit. Yeah, I guess perhaps it's like an either or thing. So Knightly Spirit / front defense, I think, are both excellent passives, and the knights seem to have one or the other of those. But really, really helpful for the fight. You could honestly just load the fight up with knights and a healer and a tank like him to put in the background, and just have your front line be all knights, and they're going to take so much less damage than everybody else, and also output pretty good damage. So that's it. That's how to approach the fight. Again, it's got some tricky things in it, but once you're aware of them and you know how to manage them and counter them, it's really not so bad of a fight. I anticipate it being the first one I clear stage 8 on. So we'll see. We'll see how all that goes. But I do hope this was helpful. If you've got any other champs that are shining for you in that dungeon that I didn't talk about in this video, let us know. I'd be interested to try them. If you're using some different strategies, again, I'm sure people would appreciate some different perspectives. But that's it. I'm going to get out of here. I do hope it was helpful. Appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in the next one.